So that's why I had to come up here, bro, and just absolutely ruin my life and my self-esteem.
For growth.
But for growth.
And development.
For growth, G, honestly. Kia ora, my name's Joe Daymond. Māori Fijian, born and raised in Wakanda. I was born in a vibranium bed and then raised by my elder cousin, who you would know as King T'Challa of Wakanda. And yeah, he taught me how to do karate and shit.
Yeah.
And that's why when I walk down K Road, everyone shits themselves.
And also from Taranaki.
Oh yeah, that's my dad's side. Yeah, no, born and raised in Wellies, from Wanui, and whakapapa to Te Aotearoa, both Taranaki and Waifatu. And then on my mum's side, Fijian from Tailevu, from a small village called Ngāti-Vula. And yeah, bro, just best of both worlds.
Yeah. Bro, maybe we should start there then. So a little bit around like your background and whānau stuff. What was it like growing up being Māori and Fijian?
You know what Māoris are like, G. They love that N-word. Bro, being on the marae was hell when you were black. Like, I actually grew up overseas, so I moved over to Malaysia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I moved to Malaysia when I was about 5 years old. And then I lived there on and off till I was about 10, 11 years old. So about 6 years between Malaysia and India. And so yeah, bro, when you're a kid, like already from two diverse backgrounds, and then I guess you're kind of put into like a third culture. You know, first of all, I guess it opens your eyes to a lot of things, like how the world works, and you know how different an experience you can have depending on where you live and stuff. But on the other end, it does make your relationship with your identity real complicated. So yeah, bro, that was kind of my upbringing, and that's kind of informed, I guess, you know, who I am. Yeah, bro, that's why I can kind of blend in anywhere. If you catch me on the shore, like, I know how to talk to all the breathers out there in Takapuna. Then you can catch me out south.
Yeah.
I know what the boys in Rewa are up to.
Yeah. So you feel like those experiences, cultural backgrounds, has helped form your identity a bit?
Bro, hard out. I think one big thing that it does is like when you're constantly feeling like the outsider, it's, you know, a lot of people, I guess, will take that as like a negative connotation, but honestly, the biggest thing you learn is you learn to appreciate like things about your culture that maybe even people within your own culture don't realize.
Yeah, I think we touched on it, bro, around like what are the differences you find with your Māori whānau and your Fijian whānau in terms of how they approach things and how they engage with things, and maybe even around mental health?
Yeah, it's funny that they are so different. You know, kind of what I mentioned before. You know, one element of Fijian culture that I do genuinely love, but then at the same time I do really struggle with, is how it's built around, you know, heavily around religion and like tradition, much like a lot of like Pacific Island cultures, and not only my Fijian culture, but like my Fijian family, you know, I guess would very much align with that. So, you know, when you build like a lot of your identity around a lot of the standards within that can be really difficult to, at least I found it really difficult to like connect with a lot of my family on that level. Because there's so many, you know, for lack of a better word, like regimen and ideals and like hierarchy and like the family dynamic. It's really difficult to kind of get past that and just like learn who your family actually are, like at face, you know, at more than just face value. So a lot of my uncles, you know, like I love them and stuff, but like we never really went past a, "Hello, uncle, you know, how's it going? Yep, I'll sit down, cross my legs, and won't say shit for the next 2 hours." That, you know, obviously as a kid, like, it's the best experience. Like, you'd take any experience to be around your family, but then as you kind of get older, and you know, you obviously start to see those disconnections.
Yeah, bro. A lot of our ideals, a lot of our practices as men is formed from our fathers and our uncles.
Yeah.
You know, so if we see these men, you know, be open and be vulnerable will probably be the same, but the cases
Totally.
often that we don't get to see those things, so
Totally.
we don't see it role modeled for us, and we don't get to see it seen as something that's acceptable.
Yeah. I think that's where I really lucked out with like my Māori whānau, is like a lot of them are a lot more expressive in that way. I think my dad's immediate side of the family struggled because they're religious as well. Gee, so they're all Mormon. So I grew up going to Mormon church, bro.
Yeah.
Knocking on doors, playing basketball. Nah, I didn't knock on doors. But, you know, playing hella volleyball in car parks.
Straight up.
I got a mean set.
Yeah.
So you know, like that again, I kind of mirrored like the struggle, I guess, of my Fijian family.
Yeah.
It was similar with my dad's family, in a way, probably not as intense.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like my dad's like wider whānau, or you know, like my whānau. You know, as Māori, like they're way more expressive. You know, our almost love language to each other, especially like in difficult times, is you know, making fun of that situation and acknowledging it, like really.
Yeah. Directly.
Yeah, we may not be addressing it in a like serious manner, but at least we do address it. We do talk about them, and it's in our own like funny little way. But like for me, at least that was really important for me, like in my formative years, to at least have some kind of avenue to like express what I find difficult, even if it is just joking about it. But like Trisha's like he hangs out on K Road, and he's got a British accent. Never been to England.
That's kind of, I was thinking like, where do you think you get your funny side from?
But different from my like, my Māori side. Like, I think, and my dad, to be honest, like if you were to meet my dad, my humour is 100% just his humour. My dad, like you won't see him joking around any more than in like really awkward situations, real sad ones.
Most inappropriate times.
Bro, there is nothing more crack up to Māoris than a tangi. The closer the better. Bro, straight up. And that was so, I guess, influential for me, not even in just how I process like a lot of those difficult things, but even like how I then allow myself to express my feelings. And it's not necessarily the most constructive way, like just running to, you know, humour as the mechanism for that. But then at the very, like I said before, at least I had like an avenue to at least start with. And then, you know, you can figure out like all the serious shit, you know, as you kind of get older and start paying for therapy and shit like that.
You feel your tough ass.
Bro, you do feel like you're tough as in Willies. I remember my first night out in Ponsonby and shit.
Bro, do you feel like that's a common thing amongst bros or among brown men, boys, to use comedy? Like stuff gets tough, stuff gets awkward.
Totally.
We try crack a joke to get our way out of it.
Bro, 100%. And I think us as young brown men, I always think we're so close to these convos. But what tends to happen is, you know, we'll make that first initial joke about a joint situation that maybe we all struggle with, but then it'll just kind of end there. And I think one thing that was so important for me was that I was always comfortable making that first joke. What really changed my life was then being able to have the serious conversation about that same situation following it. And that just started with self-reflection and me being able to talk about it myself, and then that, I guess, translated into me being able to talk about it with others. And I would say that's 100% how I deal with like a lot of the difficulties in my life. Like I always joke about it first, but then I'm like,
there's a truth here.
No, let's actually talk about it,
I think that's it, bro. Like, there's a big part, because whatever the issue is, like, we can make a joke about it, but I think the challenge is like, where does that joke go? And what are we doing with that? Are we going to follow it up, or are we just going to keep cracking jokes?
Bro, and I think that's the important thing, because there's an element of it that's detrimental if everything is just a joke, and you do just kind of keep it at their surface level, because you know, essentially you're not getting to like the root of the problem. So that's where it is detrimental, I think, if you're figuring out a way to start those conversations. And I don't know, it could be something little, like, bro, what was the last situation for you that, you know, was quite serious, but you, like, remember making a joke about it in the moment, or, like, taking the piss about it?
I can't remember, like, a specific moment, But I remember like the what I'm thinking at the time. I'm thinking, oh no, I'll just crack a joke and then just to minimize it.
Yeah.
But then I walk away thinking like, that was a great opportunity to actually say what I was really feeling.
Yeah.
I've just thrown it away. And I think that's the part we need to realize, like, what does minimizing it do? It just makes everyone have to pretend that that moment's okay, or what's just happened is okay. Why do you think bros don't want to go deeper?
I mean, I think, like, and this is just me personally, like, I know my personal fear with it was, like, you know, almost fear of rejection from, like, not only your ideas or, like, but, like, rejection to your thoughts and feelings. You know, like, bro, I'll tell you about one situation where me and my, like, cousins did it. So my cousin passed away, committed suicide in February 2019, my cousin Popo. And we were sitting at the back of my house. We had just had the funeral. And obviously, like, bro, that's everything you could imagine, like how emotional and how difficult that was for all of us. And bro, we all sat in a circle and we all went around, and it was funny, like it was less about Popo in that moment and more about like trying to find a moment that we feel like he would have enjoyed. And so we just started going around, and for each person whose turn it was, we all went around and told a funny story about the person. And it's like, it went from like, you know, someone had little stuff to say and someone had like a whole fucking story. But then what was really funny is once we then got around in the circle, we then took turns telling each other one thing that we love about that person as well. And we had never done that before, bro. These are like my cousins that I was brought up like basically as my brothers. And my younger brother was there too, and we'd never had this conversation. And I remember we were just sitting there, we were cracking up, we were crying, we were like, you know, hugging each other and stuff. And I remember it was such like a poignant moment in our relationship. But it all started because, you know, I guess we just wanted to share this moment with each other. And then once we realized that we were all on the same page, it just felt really natural to kind of express ourselves in this way. But I know for a lot of us, that's the initial thing that holds us back, is not feeling safe, not feeling safe with like the people around us. But I think in that moment we felt safe with each other because I think it was clearly obvious we were all feeling the same thing.
No, 100, bro. And I think you're right. There's that fear of rejection, fear of not having our experience validated.
Yeah.
Not to say like, oh, that's stupid, you're being silly. Like, you know, just to really cut down what you've gone through. And also understanding that when you do find the bravery to step into those spaces and talk with your bros, it's something everyone wants.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, I should have done this earlier.
That's the irony of it all, is that half the time you do share, and exactly like you said, everyone's feeling the same way. They're just waiting for that first person. There's kind of the way I always describe it, bro, when it comes to conversations like that, is, you know, when you're hungry as at like, say like Christmas, and everyone's talked all day about how hungry they are, but then what happens once they put the food on the table and they say, you know, they do karakia, and everyone's like, yo, you can eat now.
Oh no, you go. Oh, just
we all stand back. It's like 5 minutes ago we were talking about how fucking hungry we are. It's right there. No one wants to jump.
No one wants to make the first move.
Bro, no one wants to make the first move, but then what happens when that first person makes the first move? Everyone then jumps in.
So we need to be like brave enough to make that first move.
Yeah, bro. So and that's what those moments have always felt like with me, man. Like in my head, it's always like, fuck it, I'm just gonna tell everyone how I feel.
Mean, bro.
And it really just becomes an exercise of like putting it, you know, really willing yourself to go do that, and it gets to the point where it just becomes natural for you to feel that, and then, you know, you don't hold yourself back in the way that I guess you used to. But I still remember the first time that it was difficult for me to say that, and that's kind of where it all started.
And you're just building reps over time, eh?
Bro, hard.
Just get used to like kind of jumping into that awkward space, jumping into that hard conversation. And I know that between you and I, like, we have a relationship where we can do that with each other.
Yeah, hard up.
And I know you've also come here with some stuff you want to share, bro. So, you know, and you're telling your truth. Like, what's the stuff that's come up for you? What's the stuff you're going through?
I mean, Bro, I mean, the way you just framed it, you made it sound like I was coming out the closet, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, I just, yeah, I've just been going through like quite a big sort of shift in my life, bro. So, like, one thing you've always known with me is you've always known me, like, working's been a big part of my identity. And it has been for like the past 7 years. But bro, what happened was I went over to America, because you saw how I went to America, eh?
Yeah, bro, big trip.
America.
Yeah, opening, yeah.
The United States of America. Nah, bro, so I went to America, and like, obviously, you know, when I started my comedy journey in 2017, that's like the pinnacle of entertainment, G. That's where you want to be, right? And so I devoted like every waking moment of my life to wanting to get there. And like, so much of my identity was tied to like that journey.
Yeah, that goal.
That goal. And what was real crazy was, you know, I had become content with that being my whole identity. Like, even my sister talks about, like, you know, one thing I would say a lot is I'd be content not having a family, not having a partner, as long as I just get to that.
True.
And I think I'll be happy. And I genuinely believed that I think as long as I was successful and as long as I seemed of value to like my community and the people around me, I truly believed that I could live like a happy life. But then what happened, bro, was I went to America. And gee, like, I shot a TV show over there. I, you know, met a bunch of my idols. I got to perform with a bunch of my idols. You know, I signed with like a big manager there. Like, I started to do everything that objectively I had dreamed of doing when I was a 21-year-old kid, like, dreaming of doing all this shit. And then what was crazy was, I don't know if it was necessarily being around like a lot of the guys I looked up to, or whether it was just like reflecting on myself in it, but I just had this feeling one day, bro, that I was like, oh fuck, I don't even want to be here. Not even do I not want to be here. Like, I just know that even if this continues to progress like the way it looks like, I know I won't actually be happy.
Wow.
And what was then crazy was then thinking about, damn, the feeling that I've been chasing, that I thought this moment would give me, it actually comes from something else. And it comes from like being around my siblings. You know, my brother was living with me at the time, hanging out with my brother, doing simple shit like going to the movies, you know, hanging with my sister and my brother-in-law. Like, the feeling that I was looking for was the feeling I get in those things, but I thought it was going to come from doing all this crazy shit in America. And I remember I was telling my sister about it, G. So I signed with like, you know, this manager and shit over there, and had a meeting that, you know, I could only ever dream of. And, you know, they like do everything in Hollywood that like you hear in the movies and shit like that. And then, bro, they're based in Beverly Hills. So I walked out of the meeting, and I'm at the bottom of Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills.
Oh, yo.
But I'm on my own. I've gone over to America on my own. I'm seeing all these rich people, and I'm staying in like a nice place, and like there's all these people in nice cars and shit. But I'm there on my own, and I'm like, damn. I knew in that moment, like, fuck, I would never be happy with this. Even if I had everything. I'm standing here on my own with no one to share this with. I think this has like changed my life literally this moment right now.
True.
Yeah, bro. So I came back, and then basically it was just like, shit. I've been chasing this feeling and this thing for 7 years, literally like working every single day.
Yeah.
It's almost like you feel a loss of like your purpose, because you're just like, fuck, it's not even what I wanted. So yeah, bro, it immediately was just the exercise of clearing up my entire life. I dropped out of just about every single thing I had going, shut down everything local with my company, cut my ties to everything, and then just forced myself to like sit still for the first time in my life. And like just really address like, who am I? What do I want to do? And like, what does it mean to have nothing and just sit here with myself? Do I like that person? Or do I not? And yeah, bro, that was just, it's been the hardest process. It's been 2 months. I've been sitting in my house fucking doing fuck all, mad depressed. But it's been like one of the best things I've ever done, because I just stopped, you know, using work and using this like false kind of idol that I set up for myself to chase, and force myself to like really look at myself in the mirror and be like, nah, but what is this dude?
Who was Joe?
Want and need. Bro, it's the most confronting thing because like honestly, bro, in that moment when I was like, standing there, it's gonna sound so funny. What I was thinking about was like all the birthdays that I missed, all the hangouts with my mates,
Celebrations.
Yeah, you know, but even just like little shit. I could think of 20 interactions with people where they're like, yo, let's hang out. Yo, let's go do coffee at this place. And I was like, nah, I'm working on this thing. Or nah, I got this thing coming up. Nah. Just like blowing those off. It's like those little things that I thought about. It wasn't like all this big shit. It was like little things that I thought about.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that was such an eye-opener for me because I then looked at, well, shit, what do I get more out of? Going and doing this like work stuff, which, you know, when people meet me, they say, yo, I saw this and did this. Half the time I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
As opposed to when I go catch up with my mates and we're just bullshitting, talking about random stuff. Like, I'm really into that. So yeah, bro, it's just, you know, how do you know, I'm 28 now. It's such a confronting thing to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you've done all this. Throw it away because you've gone in the wrong direction for too long. And be okay with yourself starting again. And I guess that's just where I'm at, bro, honestly. Oh, yeah,
So, you know, just changing it up again, I just want, what's the stuff you're doing to help you get through it?
Bro, honestly, just, I think the big one is going back to simple things that I appreciate in my life. Like, bro, I love going to the movies.
Yeah.
I love walking. I love fucking doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, you really from Wellington.
Yeah, that's all you can do there. There's movies, walking, and nothing. Yeah, bro. So just like honestly, simplifying my life, clearing it all out, and really just finding time to like do things that actually I feel happy with in the moment. Like I don't feel happy because I'm like, oh, this could be this, or this could become this.
The future
like,
stuff, eh?
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm actually happy with exactly how this is right now. And that's real simple shit. Hanging with people that I like hanging with. You know, just talking to my mates, being present. I'm such a simple dude. Like, anybody that knows me, if I don't say myself, I'm very chill, I'm very like easy to please. If I have these like few little things in my life, I'm genuinely pretty happy. And I just got so far away from that for so long. And so yeah, that's the process I'm in, bro. It's just like honoring that dude really, and coming back to like the simple things that I enjoy.
I think the truth about your story and what you've just shared is that I think there's a lot of bros that can see themselves where you were, like all trying to pursue all these great things, and realizing that actually that's not what we want. That's not the value we're looking for. For you, it's just trying to find ways for creative outlets. But the simple things is what matters. The simple interactions, time with yourself, time with family. Those are the things that are going to bring real joy to us. And so yeah, I just think hopefully bros that hear this go, oh damn, like is that me? Do I need to go sit and then be still for some time and ask myself if this is really what I want?
100%. Bro, and I reckon, and this is just both a generalization and my own personal opinion, but like I think one thing that especially, you know, us brown brothers like really struggle with, I think why we particularly struggle with a lot of this mental health stuff more so than anyone is, you know, whether both Māori and like Pasifika, like we carry the burden of both whānau and community, you know, because we're brought up and that's such like an important element to like, not just our lives, but like who we are as people. You know, we're taught from such a young age and, you know, some people would even say socially conditioned to value ourselves against the value that we bring to our community and those around us.
Yeah, bro.
But that's such a difficult journey for a young man because if that's what you build your whole identity around, what's the value that you bring to others? Well, you're never thinking of yourself. You're never thinking about, are you happy? You're constantly thinking about, am I honoring like all these people that I don't even really fucking know, but I've built up these false expectations of what they may have of me, what they expect of me, and that's going to be my whole identity, honoring those expectations that I don't even know if that's what they fucking are.
Or you could do all of it and they don't care.
Well, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a difficult thing that I see with a lot of young brown dudes especially. we carry so much with ourselves on like who we have to do it for and what we're doing it for. And that's why we struggle so much, because, you know, we put ourselves through hell to get to that. And then even if we do get to the end, it's not fulfilling for us. And, you know, that was a massive thing that I guess I realized was like, I've killed myself to get to a point and get to a place that it wasn't even what I wanted.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm doing myself
Yeah.
an injustice if I continue on this pathway purely because I'm obsessed with this idea of being valuable to not only my community, but making my family name proud doing that. It's like, am I really of value if I'm not even here?
Yeah. Bro, nah, straight up. And that's what I've been like thinking around. I think brown man problems are so different to non-brown man problems.
Fuck
like,
yeah.
The weight that we have to carry in terms of looking after our iwi, our hapu, our whānau, our communities is massive. And you're right, bro. It's like, as much value as you can bring in as an individual, it's like how much value can you bring to your community?
Straight up.
That's what we're stuck in. And of course, I don't think their responsibility is going away, but our attitudes around how we look after ourselves in those spaces definitely needs to change. Like there's an attitude that I think exists around like self-care, like looking after yourself, like, oh, you're a bitch, or you're being soft, you know, things like that. But the thing I try to say to the bros is that like self-care isn't self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. So like by looking after ourselves, we can do better for longer. And I think that's the thing we have to try and remember or try to bring ourselves back to. Like, gee, if you need to take a 3-month break, do that, you know. So you can come back and you can go for 9 months or whatever you need. But trying to do this all the time for everyone, gee, it's not, you're going to lose yourself in it.
I agree, but I like wholeheartedly agree. And I think one really big thing that I think hinders our ability to self-care is I think as brown men, the idea of strength that we're taught is what you can withstand.
True.
As what you can as what you can go through, what you can struggle with and still stand up afterwards. That's like our idea of strength. Like how strong are you? Like how heavy can you lift? How heavy can you hold up? How many people can you hold up? That's the idea of strength that we're taught. One thing we don't realize is that other men all over the world, that's not what they're taught as strength. You know, if you think about men in other parts of the world, you think about even just the political system and all that, like, and you know the type of people that they value. They're not valuing guys that hold up strength. They value people that speak. They value people that speak their mind. Like that's the true value of strength, and that's the last thing that we're ever taught is important for us as brown men. We're not told that what we have to say is important and what we have to say is strength. That's almost something that we're told, you never ever have to worry about that. And you know what, we don't even want to hear that. And so I think for me, that's why I always made a concerted effort like to speak with my comedy and like actually talk about shit that I go through, because for so long I got told like, no, what you have to say doesn't fucking matter. And I think so many of like young brown dudes are taught that way, that like what you have to say doesn't matter. And if you want to be of value,
be tough.
Be tough. How much can you actually go through? Then I'll know how
much can you drink?
You know, shit like that.
I'll share a story about this one koro I had from up home, from up north. He, similar bro, like tough, short, little black man, like used to drive around in a Dodge Ram. Used to go to pubs just to look for fights, like real tough bro, eat nails, goes hunting, does all of that stuff. And so for ages I had like, you know, this idea of like what a tough man was. But for me, the moment that I really grew a respect and a depth of probably love for him wasn't because he used to do all that. He used to like dig holes in, you know, drive a digger and stuff. The moment I got that respect and love for him was when I saw him cry at my cousin's tangi. Like, I've never seen him cry, and then in that moment he just like let it all out and he just starts saying sorry, he starts like confessing and starts, you know, being really honest about his feelings. And in that moment I was like, oh, it's like, you know, I didn't know you had this side to you. But now that I've seen it, I feel way more comfortable being around you as opposed to like trying to pretend like I do all that stuff too, because I don't. So I think for us, for that idea of like how much we can withstand, I think the other side is how much can you be vulnerable and still stand. I think that's stuff that really makes us someone to look up to.
Yeah. I think one thing that I struggle with, like a lot of like mental health conversations and a lot of shit like that, is You know, I think social media as a vacuum has kind of created this idea that like masculinity is inherently toxic, and like I think there's absolutely toxic masculinity, but I don't think masculinity in itself is toxic. And for me personally, my whole personal journey has been like redefining what that means to me, like masculinity. And I guess the idea of masculinity, and it has nothing to do with being a man, that comes from whatever gender you are. But I think that idea of masculinity for me, I draw it down to just this one principle of being the one person that's happy to stand up and say your piece regardless of what everyone else is doing. And I think exactly in that moment, like with your uncle, I think that's true masculinity, as in the idea of everyone expecting him to be one way and him being true to himself and being how he feels like in that moment. Like, and I think that whole idea is, you know, what I really try and like push onto at least like the young dudes in my life, especially my younger brothers. I almost say like, you feel the energy, but it doesn't go any further than that.
Yeah, because you, of course, you have like a pretty big social media following, and you're real honest about good things and bad things. But what's that journey been like around kind of sharing more of the deeper side of Joe?
Bro, it's always hard, you know. Like, I'm a human, you know, and every person wants to be accepted, and you know, I as much as I'd love to be like the person that doesn't give a fuck about what people think, so I'm a sensitive dude. And as I said, like I've always felt like an outsider, and I think that part of yourself never disappears. You know, I think you always look for acceptance, and even just small ways.
No matter how many followers you have, you're still gonna be.
It never goes away, you know. No matter what you do with your life, no matter who you supposedly become, like it never changes. Yeah, for me, my whole journey has been like, how do I become okay with myself? And in doing that, that's allowed me to like strengthen my voice and be more comfortable standing in like what I have to say. And I get heaps of backlash from like a lot of the shit I talk about.
True.
But yeah, bro, like I get heaps of shit for it. But
how do you deal with that? Delete.
Yeah, first of all, delete heaps of comments and then tell my auntie to go talk shit to all the people in the village of Fiji that talk shit about me. Nah. Bro, just be comfortable standing in your own money. And again, like that's my idea of masculinity, is irregardless of whether it's right or wrong, you know, there's always a conversation around right or wrong, whatever someone's opinion is, but if you can just stand on like your own 2 feet and your own word, that's what I truly see it as. And I only ever speak from my personal experience, and I try really hard not to like speak on behalf of people. So for me, that's just where I kind of keep like everything I have to say, and that's why I say it with confidence.
Yeah, no one's taken away from you.
But, exactly, and it's like, you know, you don't know what life experience I've had, you don't know what I've gone through, so I'll speak to that.
If you could think of like an ideal Aotearoa and then like how people should be practicing mental health or should be talking about mental health, what would that look like to you?
So with me, like one thing on my personal journey that I really recognized was my mental health was at my worst when I didn't feel like I had an avenue to like speak and like express myself. You know, I delved into drinking because drinking gave me that feeling that I could say and do whatever I wanted. You know, it gave me an excuse to like talk about things that I wanted to do. You know, if I wanted to do something, I could say, oh yeah, I was drunk last night. Like,
yeah, pass it off.
You know, I had that thing to lean on. It was that crutch that I had to lean on to give me that confidence to be myself. Now, was being myself actually being authentically myself, my real self? Nah. But at the very least, for the first time in my life, I was experiencing a version of myself that I had held back and was now letting go. And drinking gave me that avenue. And so I guess like one thing that I've personally always felt as a massive hindrance for like a lot of young men in Aotearoa is that I think we have a massive issue with young men knowing how to express themselves on any level. You know, you think of like, again, as brown dudes, we really struggle to express ourselves individually. Like you think of all your boys, if you're the one that sticks out,
That's not playing rugby.
You are getting roasted to oblivion. The example I always use is, what's a brown man's worst fear? Having the aux cord. or being connected to the Yui boom. Because if you pick the wrong song, kid, that is your nickname forever.
Oh, Taylor Swift,
Bro, that is your nickname forever. Or the other one is if you pick a place to, if it's your turn to pick a place to eat, and you pick the wrong place, game over.
Yeah, I know, bro.
If everyone's like, where you want to go for feed, and you say Cobb and Co, guess what your name is for in the group chat?
Yeah, Cobb and Co.
And I think, it's this whole culture of like sticking out, and people kind of use the word tūpopi to minimize it, but I think it's even worse. Like, I think we have a culture that's built around really hindering our ability to express ourselves. And so what tends to happen is, because we shut it down with each other in like the most, because you would relate to those two situations, eh? Because we shut down our ability to be an individual in even just a small situation like that, which is an easy one.
Yeah.
Picking food is easy, picking a song, easy. We can't do that. Imagine when you want to talk about the difficult shit.
Yeah.
Imagine when you want to be vulnerable, or when you want to talk about an experience that you've personally never gone through that's absolutely kicking your ass. Bro, that's what I reckon is one of our biggest issues, like here, is we're talking so much about this is where the problem is at, kind of at the end of the rope, at the rope. But we don't see where we're making that, we're giving them no chance to even get to that point. So I think for me, like my ideal way to like approach this whole issue is giving men an avenue to find like how to express themselves. I was so lucky that I found comedy when I was 21 years old. That was my form of expression. I was able to let out so much of myself that like I had held in, that I'd really struggled to like even just articulate in my own head. But I had a way to put that out there. And I still struggled with my mental health. So imagine if I didn't have that shit, bro, I'd be fucked. So I think for me, so many of the things that I want to do is about trying to figure out a way to open up that avenue of expression for young men. Because, because like I mentioned before, so many of us, we get to that age where that's becoming a thing that we need, and we turn to drinking because of that feeling that it gives us. And that's why so many of us go through that experience. So yeah, bro, that's kind of how I would approach it. And some people may disagree and think I'm all shit, and I mean, fair enough. I just kind of pulled that out of my ass. So.
Yeah. Nah, safe G.
Up the boys. Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.